Okay, great. You know, we've talked about a lot of things today and a lot of issues. I mean, we talked about capital infrastructure, things like that, and things that, you know, you should become familiar with and take action. But one of the things that is going to happen to you, one of the issues is you're going to be addressing, you're going to take the oath of office and turn around, and issues with police departments are going to be there. It's not the biggest issue, but it's very important, and we're running up against a lot of issues right now with law enforcement. And so what I wanted to do is just give you Cam talked a little bit about Love, Listen, Lead, and I wanted to go through that. Oh. Okay. About Love, Listen, Lead, and some of the police issues. And what I want to do is arm you very quickly with an understanding of how data-driven data-driven decisions are made in the league, and number two is why we're concerned about some of the things we're concerned about. Love, Listen, Lead, the task force we involved. We really did listen. We listened to people like NAACP, Black Lives Matter. My favorite is the Mamas and Papa Panthers, Martin Luther King Commission. We also listen to our DPS commissioners. We listen to people like Fraternal Order of Police, UCOPA, which is Utah Chief of Police Association, and we work very hard. And one of the things that one of the first things we did was identify a couple issues, and one was a need for data. We hear a lot of during our listen portion of this. We heard a lot of stories about people, getting pulled over just because of the color of their skin or something like that, and we realized that there were some trust issues, and so we went out and got data. The other thing we did that we talked a little bit earlier about being proactive is one of the things that we identified very early on was the fact that one issue we have are police officers that are doing something that creates an investigation within their department, an internal investigation. And rather than sweating out that internal investigation, they would just go to another agency. And because of the way things are working, the way things were working, it's very easy to jump from agency to agency. And if the John Park City is investigating a police officer and you go to another agency, they just quit the investigation. So we never knew what was going on. And so one of the first things we did proactively is we got with Senator Iwamoto and created actually two bills that were passed last legislature. The first one, it required police officers, police departments to continue that investigation. And it was a post violation to work with post to finish that investigation. And the second thing, because of some of the concerns that raised, we gave immunity to police departments that if one police department A wanted to call police department B could tell them the truth about the investigation without getting sued by the applicant. And so what we found out there, we think that was probably one of the first and most important things we could do, but it's just a great example of us being, I think, proactive of what's going on. And so we go with Y2 Analytics to do this survey, and it was all based on all these focus groups that we went through, all the questions that we had on both police officers and the general public. And if I'm talking fast, it's because I need to talk fast to get us back on schedule. There's a lot of people involved. We had a steering committee made up, Chiefs of Police Association, counties, Utah Association of Counties helped us, UTA, Salt Lake City, Ogden. Because we were concerned about specific issues there, we over questioned in those two areas. And this is what we came out with some of our data. Again, this happened in just over a year ago in October, November. And I think Cameron mentioned a couple of these. Some of the questions we ask is, do you generally feel safe in your local area? And the good news is, yeah, our people generally feel safe. And how many of them feel very safe? It was pretty close as far as whites and BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, and people of color. It was more, of course, they felt more safe in rural than they did in urban. And compared to other things, the millennials, the boomers, and the Gen X's were relatively close. One of the things that on this next question that completely surprised us, quite frankly, do you trust law enforcement a great deal? 56% of whites and 35% of BIPOC people trusted police officers police agencies a great deal. Law enforcement as a whole. That's a big difference, right? 21% difference, that's huge. But the thing that we didn't expect and the one that we didn't understand is this difference here is boomers were 68%. I mean, boomers were, 68%, Gen X 51, and millennials, the younger folks that we surveyed, only 35% thought trust law enforcement a great deal. Now this, of course, was taken in trying to develop trust and find out where our problems were with trust in police officers. But if you can see where we get our new police officers for is from that bottom, right? It's from the millennials. That's what we want. That's who we want to recruit. And so we have issues. We have problems with that. That most of the people feel like decreasing police budget, which have a negative effect. You can see the numbers there. And again, a great disparity between age and a good disparity between whites and people of color. Then we did another survey that was done with Representative Gwynn. And I think what I want you to get out of this is we surveyed this many folks, and this had to do with recruitment and retention. And what I want to just quickly point out is the term Tier 1 and Tier 2, which they have in the state of Utah in 2008, when the economy kind of tanked a little bit, the legislature changed the retirement requirements in the state of Utah. And Tier 1 employees is basically a guaranteed kind of payout. And Tier 2 had a smaller guaranteed payout, but was based more on investing in kind of private 401ks and things like that. And so there's a difference between those kind of folks. And so we wanted to find out, and the other way to look at that is Tier 1 people are older and Tier 2 people tend to be younger, okay? That's because we changed this about just over 10 years ago. And in this survey, we asked why they got into law enforcement or firefighting. And the lower the number here is the highest response to the best rate. You know, we have them do 1, 2, 3, and 4. Most of them on both sides is a desire to serve. And most of them, and in Tier 1, retirement was the second most important. And exciting work was the second most important for those on Tier 2, the younger kind of crowd. And we asked them if they were considering leaving their post. And we thought that was important because, again, this is on recruitment and retaining, where they go to a different industry, to public safety or retirement. And these colors are broke down. These colors are broken down by age group. And what you can see is that what we're doing is we're having this big group in the middle, this age group of people that we think that typically in industry are the go-getters, the people that are carrying the weight, the people that have the experience, still have the energy to get things done. They are the people that are leaving our industry when it comes to policing. And those are the problems, and they're leaving our agency. Of course, a lot of them are going to different agencies. That tends to be toward the younger crowd, but that's one of the issues. This is what's important to them. Increased pay. What would keep them there? Increased pay. Retirement is much lower. Increased pay on Tier 2. Retirement seems to be much higher. I'm going to skip over a couple of these for time. This to me is one of the most important slides that we've done in any of these. I started as a police officer in 1980. My father was a police officer. My brother was a police officer. My brother-in-law was a police officer. I actually had another police officer that died in the line of duty. And that's why I became a police officer. If you look at this, what percentage of the people currently in law enforcement would recommend a law enforcement to family or friends? You can say strongly agree, except for the very youngest, the youngest age group. Hardly any of these things it's important to look at the difference between strongly agree and disagree. So what's happened in what we're doing is we've created this multifaceted problem when it comes to recruitment and retention. Part of it is just, we have an unemployment rate in the state of Utah at 2.2%, right? And you can't go down the street, you can't go to fast food, you can't go to anywhere and not see a help wanted ad. In fact, I went to a restaurant the other day in St. George, and they were closed for lunch. And they said, we only open now for breakfast and dinner because we can't find the people to open for lunch. And so that's a problem. And then you combine this with some of the public perception of officers, our lack of ability to deal with mental health issues with officers, retirement issues, way to increase pool of desired applicants, and officers hopping from city to city. We have some cities that are actually that pay their officers to recruit officers from other jurisdictions. And so we play this game, and it seems like all we're doing right now is just putting piles of money into this issue. We will see some legislation come down. In fact, we have legislation right now. We're meeting with Senator Gwynn on retirement legislation on Monday morning, and to talk about his bill that comes with retirement. And we think that improving in retirement may or may not be important, but we want to find some ways to increase the pool, increase the number of people that want to come into law enforcement, decrease the number of people that want to leave law enforcement. And so other issues that you'll see legislative with public safety issues, use of force, civilian overview of police departments, just generally building trust, and a lot of others. And so with that, if you have any questions, it'd be great to answer them. If not,
take a minute and just explain to folks why it's important that they see leaders are aware of all the issues. High level summary.
Okay. As I started out saying, is right now it's an issue you're going to be hit with immediately. As we learned from risk management, is an issue that's costing the cities a lot of money because of perception in the community about what police officers do by certain groups. Okay, we still have people that love police officers. One of the other things that's important for you to know is we ask in this survey, why are you, if you're planning to leave law enforcement, why are you planning to leave law enforcement? The number one reason they're leaving law enforcement is pay. What do you think the number two is? Anyone? What's that?
Safety.
No, that was quite a ways down the list, actually. Lack of support of their elected officials. Lack of support of their elected officials. This is something that is incredibly complex. It is something that is not going to be, for a variety of reasons. For instance, the unemployment rate right now is not going to be solved overnight. It's something that a lot of the solutions that are out there and being proposed are really, really expensive, and something that we need to pay attention to. And we make sure we're not spending creating long-term solutions for short-term issues. And so I think that kind of sums it up, Cam. Thank you.